Okay, this is Jimmy Jive, and you're listening to Motor City Rock Talk. Today I have two guests with me, two from two different bands who formed up together to perform in a group called Stereobabe. At least I hope I'm saying that right. If there's some different enunciation, you can let me know. Today my guests are guitarist Ted Lamont and bassist Leann Banks. They both obviously sing also. How you guys doing today?
Excellent.
Good.
All right, let's get started with a little bit of background on each of you. I'll let you talk individually. I guess we'll start with you, Ted. Tell me a little bit about where you're from originally and a little bit of your background as far as music.
Okay, sure. Originally, I'm from Strathroy, Ontario area, and I grew up on a farm, actually, of all things. And I come from a pretty musical family, basic. I basically started playing guitar when I was 7, got into bands. Basically, music has been part of my life till now. Yeah, so played in many different bands, and some of which I saw that you've interviewed already on your some of your other YouTube videos. I used to play with John Scarcella from Romeo Rock for a little bit, I listened to your YouTube on him. It's pretty interesting. He's a real talker.
Yeah,
I played in a band called Monkey C from London, Ontario in late 80s, and then 90s formed a band called Blasternaut, and that was probably my main project. We put out 3 full-length records and an EP, did some touring, put out some videos, so yeah, and then that finished pretty much. I think our last show was in 2010. And then from between 2010 and now, I've been playing in different tribute bands or doing my own acoustic shows and writing stuff. And then I met Leann in 2020, the beginning of the COVID thing that we went through.
Right.
And then we started writing and performing, and that brings to now.
Oh, that's interesting. But being from Canada and being from that area, did you perform mostly in Canada, or how did you get down into the States, into the Detroit area? Did somebody hear you up there and say, hey, you got to come down to this market, or how did that happen?
I moved to Windsor in the mid-90s, but just before that, Monkey C was actually performing in Detroit, and there was a gentleman that saw us and got me together with John Scarcella and John Aberdeen from Romeo Rock, and they were forming a new band called Amusement Park, and I thought this area seemed like a pretty good rock and roll area, a lot of music history around here, and I had the chance to either move here and go to school in Windsor or maybe go up to Toronto, and I thought, it'd be maybe a little bit easier to kind of break into the Windsor area, and then I already had the connection in Detroit and see how that worked out. So I officially moved to Windsor in 93 and went to university at that time and played with those guys for a little bit, and then I got the Blasternaut thing going shortly after that one. Amusement Park was only around for maybe a year. Then they did a heavy metal Motown band called Hot Rods to Hell.
Yeah, I remember that. That was cool.
Yeah, and I was in that as well. Oh. And then that basically ran for a little bit. It's actually basically all the Romeo Rock guys except for the drummer, who was Jimmy Winelas or Jimmy Lord. He was also in Blasternaut.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that was good fun. And Charlie Grover was in Amusement Park, and he ended up going Sponge. He was Sponge's drummer for mainly their biggest years when they were doing all the big festivals in the mid-90s and everything.
So that was after Vinny obviously changed over from Loud House and Sponge and became the lead vocalist then.
That's right, yeah.
All right, that's cool. Now let's let the lady speak a little bit. Leann, tell me a little bit about your background. I believe you're from the States, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me a little bit about your bringing up and how you got into music and some of your bands.
Yeah, I grew up in Detroit City. I don't know, I feel like it feels like I've been playing music forever, but I guess technically I started, I took piano lessons, I think when I was 8 for a few years. And my dad played guitar, so we always had, guitars in the house and music was going. And I sort of discovered, my parents' records, the Beatles. I love the Beatles, I love Queen.
Sure.
But yeah, I kind of taught myself guitar with a Beatles book that we had. And I took actually took guitar lessons for a little bit, and then I picked up the bass when I was about, I don't know, 16 or 17. I loved it. I kept with that for a long time. And as far as the bands I've joined, I mean, nothing super notable off the bat. I mean, I played, my first one was called Ghost City, and that was probably in like 2005 or 6, and that was with one of the guys, Chris from the Electric Six. That was cool.
Yeah.
Project. Actually, I joined the Sirens for a little while. I don't know if you know them. They're like a girl glam rock cover band. Yeah. And then after that, I met Jason Stolzheimer, and I toured with the Bondies for about 4 years and then that was sort of done after that in like 2010. And that was really cool. Just kind of various local bands after that. And then actually, I played with like Amy Gore for a little while. We did the Valentines. That was fun. And then me and Jason, from the Bondies, and Don, the drummer, we formed a separate band as a trio called Pony Show from like maybe 2014 to 16 or 13 to 16. That was really cool. We tried to, we tried to do little tours and play out. We actually played in Canada a lot. We played in London, Ontario a lot in winter. We actually recorded a whole album, but it never came out. So it's hopefully coming out this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
10 years, hope we're putting it out, I think, finally. So, that pretty much brings us up to date. Just a little like touring or, playing little local stuff. And then, like Ted said, we met. Actually, we were getting ready to do a Bondies reunion 2020. We were going to go tour the UK, do like a kind of a 20-year anniversary of their first record, and a kind of a 10-year anniversary of the Bondies playing. And then, we all kind of know what happened in the spring of 2020. So.
How was it being from the Detroit area and playing over in Canada? You mentioned London, Canada. Were you accepted pretty well over there? Did they have a good music scene at that time as far as kind of music?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, London was actually one of our favorite places to play. I think overall, like the Bondies and Pony Show, I think everything went over really well in Canada. Like Pony Show did like London, Winter, and Toronto a few times. It was always just really well. Especially in London, we played Call the Office a lot, and so Tony, who owns that at the time, he was very connected to the Detroit scene as well. Like, and he actually put out our 7-inch, and so yeah, I don't know. It was a good crowd up there. Canadians always seem really into music.
I was wondering because, like I was telling Ted, I'm originally from Canada. I was born in Prince Edward Island, but I have a lot of relatives that lived in Toronto, much older than I am. I mean, I'm in my 60s and they're older than I am. And I know there was one street that they always talked around in particular that had a lot of clubs called Yonge Street. When you were in Toronto, did you by any chance play any of the clubs or any of the shows on Yonge Street? Does that ring a bell at all?
Yeah, I feel like they were, but I'm not. Do you know which ones they're on?
Well, the Horseshoe is on Queen Street, I think. Lee's Palace that's on Blur, I think. And there were a couple of clubs on Yonge Street, but Yonge Street ended up being a little bit more of I think it's been a long time now. Yeah, a little bit more of a touristy area, I think, but not so much. I think Queen Street was more the club street. We played a lot of. Blasternaut played Toronto a ton when we were really going for it. So
what was that Alma Combo?
The Alma Combo might have been on.
The reason I mentioned Yonge Street is I know as a fact from being there and all that was a street they used to shut down exclusively on the weekend. And possibly it was like you said, tourist type thing and all that. And it made it a bit more trendy and stuff. But I just wondered because I hadn't been there in the time frame that you're speaking of as to whether or not that was something that may have changed. But yeah, Toronto, what a beautiful city, eh?
Oh yeah, lots of places to play there.
All right, let's move up into your latest project that is, from what I understand, fairly new. You mentioned that you met Leann in 2020 around the pandemic. Now, was that something that came together because of the pandemic? In other words, caused you guys to woodshed a little bit to put something more acoustic together, or was there something a little bigger about it?
Want to speak?
Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, we met online.
Okay.
During, because we were all kind of chronically on the internet at that point. And so I was posting a lot of stuff, posting my favorite records, posting videos, songs, whatever. I was bored in my house. And I guess I caught Ted's attention. So we started talking. And then eventually, like when we could get across the border and see each other, we started playing music. We started writing songs because there wasn't really anywhere to play. That was open and available. But we started doing a little, like recording projects, but we did start to play when things opened up. But yeah, it was more like let's just kind of keep it low key and acoustic for now. And I think at this point, 4 years later, we're kind of opening it up, being more of like a band, and we'll see where that goes in the future. Like, it's kind of fun just doing the acoustic thing too.
We often play just as a duo acoustically, but our recordings are a full band with drummer. We're actually, the last song we put out had John Fernino, the old Blasternaut drummer, the last drummer we had. And Steve Fernino, our first Blasternaut drummer, who also played in Romeo Rock, engineered the drum portion of our last release. So, but I guess Leann and I were Facebook friends initially. I wasn't sure whether I could get across the border because everything was shut down at the time. And just going back to that, and I have a musician's work visa, and that allowed me to travel back and forth. So that was really helpful for getting things going with Stereobabe.
They didn't let me into Canada for a long time. I felt like I had to sell my soul to the Canadian government.
Of course. Were you guys trading back and forth like musical ideas on what it was, or were you just more or less texting back and forth as friends, getting to know each other, so to speak, musically?
Both. We both have similar musical tastes, we found out. We kind of like a lot of the, the 60s.
A lot of classic
stuff, like all the good stuff. Beatles, Who, Kinks, Zombies. They like all that kind of stuff. I think it comes out in our originals a little bit too, but, hopefully there's like a modern twist on it. But
it's really cool. Very, very well produced. Only thing I could find as far as that, though, other than some videos of you guys doing acoustic shows on YouTube, were 4 songs on Spotify. Are there more? I imagine there's probably more in the works. But are there more that might be on YouTube that weren't put on Spotify? Because right now, all I could find was 4.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, is there 5? Oh, it's a pandemic. There might be 5. I think
it might have been 5.
I think we have 5. Okay. 5 originals on Spotify right now. But yeah, we got some more in the works. We're actually just working it out right now and getting ready to maybe do some more recording this summer and hopefully get some more material out before the end of the year.
About turning us into kind of like a more like a full band. Eventually, I think now that everything's kind of back to normal, quote unquote. I think it'd be fun to turn Stereobabe, the duo, into Stereobabe, the band, and have more original, focus more on the originals, and go that route a little more.
Yeah,
that's cool. You guys perform really well together. Your vocal harmonies really mesh well. I noticed one of the songs that I saw on YouTube that I really loved, and my wife really loves it because we love the movie, was That Thing You Do from the movie The Wonders. Are you trying to more or less, with a modern spin, obviously, trying to take that kind of sound as far as acoustic music and bring it to a new audience or a newer age? Is that kind of the plan, or are you going to be all over the place as far as maybe adding a second guitar, keyboards, or anything different like that?
Trying to kind of keep it simple initially, but I don't think we'd be opposed to adding another player in the mix eventually.
It's obviously we like that genre, right? Like we love the good, pop rock melody, and we love the 60s stuff. I don't think we're gonna try to be necessarily like a throwback band, but I like to keep those elements. I think
we're actually performing with a drummer currently at a venue in Clark. Garen Curtis, he plays in Elsie Finks and some other projects as well. So we are actually performing, with the full element.
When you do that, do you still play it acoustically more or less, or are you going to electric guitar? She's playing bass. Are you going to electric guitar when you do that with a drummer, live drummer, and all that, or are you still going to keep it more or less acoustic?
I want to, yeah. I think it's going to end up being a combination of acoustic and electric. It depends on how much room there is to bring all the gear.
There's not a lot of room in there.
Yeah, well, these days you don't need a lot of gear anyway. You just bring a small setup and stuff, so that's kind of nice. Not like the old days, I'm sure, with Blasternaut and Bondies, you guys probably had bigger gear and stuff. So it's nicer that the stuff is scaled down.
Base cabin is a small house.
It is, yeah. Literally.
So basically, in the works, like I said, I noticed that you had some shows coming up, several shows coming up Do you play mostly kind of like smaller venues as far as like coffee shop style stuff like that, or are you trying to get into some of the clubs like the Logger House, Caddo Cafe, places like that also?
At this point, we're sticking with smaller venues, I think. We're trying to do some different venues out of the city, too. We're going to Traverse City this summer and Mackinac Island as well. We're heading to New Jersey in July as well. We're hoping to do some more shows there. But yeah, we just play in wineries, breweries, pubs, small clubs, that kind of thing. Wherever they pay a decent dollar.
To get the full band going, we might expand, try to expand what we're doing and where we're doing it, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, as far as playing these clubs and getting out there and doing that many gigs, especially going out of state, do you have management of any kind, an agent, or are you doing pretty much everything yourself?
Mostly ourselves, actually. We've had people helping us a little bit, spreading the word, check these guys out kind of thing. But yeah, we're pretty much self-managed. I do the booking and Leann does all the online media presence.
Yeah, social media.
Yeah.
Now, that's got to make it kind of time-consuming, isn't it, as far as like trying to, play and rehearse maybe and come up with new songs and do all that. Does it take a lot of your time? I'm not sure. I'm assuming you both probably have some kind of day jobs or something you do on the side also. Has that been kind of tough, or is it just go by the side and just take your time with it?
It's a juggling act.
Yeah.
Because we play live quite a bit.
Yeah, I noticed.
So that takes up time too. You got to play these shows, so that takes away from the writing time. Now, summer, I'm going to be more available. I'm not working as much. I'm a substitute teacher during the day.
Oh,
so yeah,
that is helpful.
So I'll have more time to work on writing and recording during that time of the year. So
I have a little more free time. I work part-time during the week. It is interesting how much managing social media, how much time it actually takes, and to get everything right and to make sure you're doing the right thing. I don't even feel like I do enough, really. There's always more I could do, but I made all of our music videos too. So when we put creative energy into something like that, that's also a lot of work.
Better Days, we had help.
Oh yeah, Better Days is the only one that I make. Better Days.
We hired someone for that.
We had somebody
it's nice to hire.
Yeah.
We love hiring people.
Sure.
But yeah, there's always an element of what do I got? We just started having merch. We just started having some T-shirts and some tote bags that I made, that I screen printed. So it's and that was a choice. That was a choice of mine. Yeah, it's all work, but I try to, I try to look at it from this is gonna better us. This is gonna make us more legitimate, more known, more,
Sure.
So it's important to look at it with that kind of eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely from a business side. So as far as you said, the merchandise, T-shirts, I imagine, like you said, bags and stuff that you design, are they only going to be available at the shows you're doing, or are you going to be selling them online through the Facebook page?
I guess for now, they're only at shows. They kind of just did a little trial run, so didn't have a whole lot, but we basically already almost sold out of most of them. So
that's cool.
I'll do some more, and then if there's a demand and a want for them, I have no problem selling them online. I guess I haven't gotten that far yet.
Right. As far as those 5 songs that you have on Spotify, has there been any, as far as a future release, putting them all together with possibly some new stuff to complete a full album of any kind? Or do you even think in terms of albums?
We both love vinyl, so putting out a vinyl record would be a goal for sure.
Cool. Once we get to 10, 12 songs, maybe put them all out from then to now.
Yeah, I know vinyl can be pretty expensive. Have you looked into that yet, or is that just something that's in the possible mix?
Yeah, we haven't looked into it yet.
Yeah. Blasternaut's been looking into it recently just because we're doing that reunion show and we're putting out a 10-inch for that show. So it is expensive. You don't make much money on vinyl.
Well, you can if you sell quite a few of them and all that. It just depends on the market and how it's set up. But yeah, I've
in
talked to
small
quite a
versions.
few groups about that with vinyl and stuff, and they've said the same thing, that it can be expensive, but the cool thing about it is before you go and actually do it, if you put a feeler out, you know, and say, hey, how many people would be interested in this, and obviously base that on how many you're going to actually have printed initially. 'Cause I knew a group of artists that did it, and he printed 100 to start, and it was about $1,000, which put it around $30 per album. But it was such a huge thing because vinyl is so big right now and back.
Yeah.
That it made it worthwhile to where he ended up printing another 150 almost as quick as he could. So I know it's iffy. I know it's a very iffy challenge with that as far as financially and all that. I was going to say about playing in Traverse City, that should be a blast for you because especially in the summer, they get such quite a bit, you know, it's obviously a major tourist town, tourist area and all that with the Strawberry Fest and all that. Do you know yet, have you, whereabouts in Traverse City, the name of the club that you're going to be playing? Because I know several people that live up in that area that would probably love to come out and check you out.
Sure. Yeah, we're playing end of July 26th at Lake and Brewing, and that's just outside Traverse City.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's the 27th at a place called Jacob's Farm. I guess it's kind of like a winery. Yeah, we've never been there before, but they have a stage and a whole summer entertainment lineup there. And really looking forward to checking out both these places, and it should be really fun.
And you also mentioned Mackinac. Are you talking about Mackinac Island, playing on Mackinac Island?
Yeah, the Pink Pony is, I guess it's a club there. We've never been there either, but June
9th and 10th.
9th and 10th, yeah.
So it's actually a Sunday, Monday. So.
Oh, wow. That should be really good because there again, that's a major tourist type place and all that, and they get a lot of action and all that. I wasn't sure if when you mentioned it, we were talking about the Grand Hotel. Because I know they have acts that play there also, you know, and I wasn't even familiar with the fact that there might be little clubs on the island or a little venue like that. That's really awesome.
I've never been to the island.
Never?
Growing up in Michigan, I've prized with people, but
Few venues on the island.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, there's another place that was recommended to us, but we're going to try it at the Pink Pony first and see how it goes. And oh yeah, we love playing for tourists. People are always happy when they're on vacation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good audience to play for.
I'm curious how like the load-in, without a car loading in all of our stuff, on a horse and buggy.
Oh, yeah, that should be interesting. Or a carriage with a bicycle, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, make sure at both those venues, because of the tourists, that you have plenty of merchandise because people they'll have money, disposable money for that.
We'll be all stocked up.
That's cool. Well, I know you said you were busy this afternoon, so I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I really appreciate you talking to me today, and like I say, I hope to get together with each of you individually about your other bands. Leann, I sent you a friend request. You probably haven't seen it, just so we can keep in contact down the line, so I can interview you about that. And of course, Ted later, possibly, and like you said, near October, about the Blasternaut reunion. I'd really love to talk to you about that and see where you guys are as far as that. But other than that, thank you again so much for taking your time out on a Sunday to speak with me.
Thanks, Brett.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, again, thank you so much, and you two have a wonderful Sunday and a great day.
You too.
All right, bye. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Yeah, cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was Ted Lamont and Leann Banks. They're currently performing together in a band called Stereobabe, which is basically an acoustic group that's sort of a throwback to the 60s type of acoustically pop music, but it's definitely got a modern twist. When they perform live, they do add a drummer and play a bit, with the electric guitar and the acoustic guitar all around town. As they mentioned, they're going to be playing in Traverse City, Mackinac Island, pretty much all over the place, and hopefully they'll get some more recordings out. Their stuff is currently available on Spotify and probably most of the other streaming avenues also. In the future, I hope to be talking to Ted about the upcoming Blasternaut reunion show that he's talking about taking place in October, and of course Leann about her days with Bondies. With that being said, I'd just like to point out again, if you like these shows, these interviews, I've got, like I said, a lot more coming up. If you could hit the like button, possibly subscribe if you haven't already, it just helps me out, telling me there's more interest. Leave a comment, how the show, if you like the show or you didn't like the show, it's all good. And maybe some suggestions for how to improve it or suggestions on future artists. Anyway, with that being said, this is Jimmy Jive. You've been listening to Motor City Rock Talk, and keep rocking.